very good afternoon to all of you. And as the instructions were, if you have any questions and if you think it is very pertinent to the discussion, you can always put it in the chat box. And of course, I have factored the last 10 to 15 minutes for question and answers. But as I said, if there's something which is really pertinent to our discussion and you think you definitely should ask, please go ahead and ask, because this session is all about having you on your priority list. So you seem to be the most important element in all that we are going to discuss today. And as I said, I have a few slides, but this is more about certain insights, as I have worked for 20 years across various organizations, and my own set of insights along with the various psychometric instruments and tools that I have leveraged in a journey of, I would say, not just my own personal discoveries, but also helping various leaders and various seasoned leaders across organizations develop themselves and also come to their optimal potential. So the intent is, do we figure out where we are? So that is the content for you today. If you ask me, what are we going to discuss? Though it looks very trivial, right? In the scheme of things that all of us handle every day, right? There are so many things that we juggle. So it's like you've seen the magician, or the in a lot of talent. I don't know. The US has got talent. Australia has got talent. You see those folks, and they are trying to juggle not one, two, three, at times even 5, 15, 20 balls all being juggled, and none of it seems to be dropping off. But in real life, as you go on, it's not easy to juggle all the balls together. And in the meantime, some of them get dropped off. And the ones that get dropped off is sometimes about the most important elements, right? So I know all of you do not have paper, pencil, or anything. I'm assuming if some of you do have, a notepad handy with you, all the guys who have, I want you to do one thing before we start, right? So if you have a notebook and you thought, this is about having myself on the priority list, so let me take some notes. So if you have a notebook and a pen or a pencil handy, I want you to do is write down your name on the top right hand corner of the page. Just your name, right? On the top right hand corner of the page or the notebook that you have. Quickly. I'll give you just quick 30 seconds to do that, unless you really have a long name. Done? Is everybody done? Your name to be written on the top right hand corner of the page. Okay, great. Now I want you to write down your name again on the top right hand corner of the page, but this time with the hand which is not what you used earlier. So if you wrote with your right hand, if you were a right-handed person, now use the left hand. Okay, and if you were a left-handed person, now use the right hand and try to write your name again on the top right-hand side of the page. Exactly the same, your name, but with the hand that you didn't use earlier. Okay, so are we done? Good. Great. So how was the experience? Was it easier the first time? Did you even realize that you wrote your name? Right? And when you did it the second time with the hand that is not the one that you normally use, and you wrote the name, you did the same activity, but it wasn't easy. Though some of us, there might be a few folks who possibly seem to have dexterity which is equal on both the sides, but there is one preference over the other. So what does this activity tell you, right? We all have natural preferences. As kids, as we grew up, nobody taught us which hand should we start writing with, but we picked up our natural preference, right? And when we try to do something which was not our preferred style, our natural style, we had to struggle. We possibly, over a period of time now, if you try to practice it over a period of time, you will be able to do it. But every time somebody tells you, write your name or write something, it is the natural you or the natural preference which plays, right? So, what I was trying to draw your attention to is there is a natural us, which is our identity. And then there is a reputation, which is what others think about ourselves. There is a natural us, or what we are, and that's our identity. And then there is the reputation, which is what others think about us, and that's our reputation, right? For a lot of us, since we live in a social world, right, the reputation matters, and we possibly are only driven by reputation. Do you all agree with me? Yeah, because this is all about reputation, right? What he thinks about, what she thinks about me, what my boss thinks about me, what my team members think about me, what's my projection in the organization I work. But if I do this, what would they think about me? So there's a lot of time that we spend on what's the reputation others have for us, right? But are we sure what is our identity, who we are, right? And that's the focus, that to the journey to figure out, do I know myself, right? I'm sure as HR professionals, who some of you are, or as a topic of interest, we all have done the Johari window, right? Which is a concept which tells us about aspects of ourselves which we know, which others know, which we know, which others don't know. This is something similar, but this is about who we are, the natural us, as we just realized, writing with the natural preference over something which is not us, right? For some of us, the identity and the reputation may be the same, but for others, the reputation and the identity are little different. There is a gap, and that's when we don't even figure out. For a lot of us, uh, and the best example I can give you is when you ask a housewife, "What do you do?" "I don't do anything. I'm just a housewife." Now, maybe that's the identity saying something, right? And over a long period of time, women who were at home were referred to as she is a housewife. Over a period of time, and as we started evolving and thinking about diversity and why this is so important to say, hey, their contribution is equally important, what they do. Then we came up with a new jargon which is called homemaker, which seems to be making more sense than calling just a housewife, right? And that was the identity that we try to give to, uh, I'm sure, a generation of our moms and our aunts and all the women who stayed at home, so that they could help in building the careers, the education of of their children, and support their spouses who went out and had careers, right? Now imagine the identity of somebody who believes and is being repeatedly told that you are a housewife, you're just a housewife, right? What happens to the identity of a person like that? Unless you have a very strong identity and you don't go by the reputation, which is the views of others around us, right? And that's the piece that is very important for us to know. Who am I? What do I do? What's the identity that I want to build for myself? And to define identity, that's where, how do you define identity, right? It seems to be very simple. It's not a play of dictionary words, but what is identity for all of us? Where does it stem from? Like I said, it's a lot to do with our family, our values, our experiences from the past, all of that. As we grow up, our growing up age, that's where our identity is built, and it is a lot to do with our personality types, right? What is our personality? And a lot of our behavior is defined by our personality and our environment. And I'm sure all of you who possibly have delved into psychology or have interest in psychology, we all know, right? the behavior that all of us display, right? It is a function of our personality type and the environment, correct? Now, personality type is not going to stay, not going to change for any of us, because psychology tells you that your personality is almost evolved, or it's cast on stone by the age of 6, right? It has a lot to do with your DNA, with your genetics, and also the environment. By the time you are 6, your personality is already there, so your behavior has a lot to do with your personality and your environment. Now, personality cannot change. What changes is the environment. So what we all of us do is our behaviors are tweaked by the environment we are. I'm sure you've seen that, in places where everybody seems to be very talkative, reactive, even the quieter ones are pushed to speak or be mirroring the majority norm, right? Or in organizations or places where you need to be quiet, or people generally seem to be quiet, that's what happens. So uh, coming back to identity, a lot of this is, basis, the values, experiences, our personality type, all of that builds our identity, right? And hence, a lot of us say, right, the road to self-awareness starts with knowing who you are. And it is sometimes recommended that it's a great idea for you to pick, to at least, do one of the psychometric tools and figure out what's my personality type. And it's not necessary to do it, but a lot of us try to do it. It's as good as saying it doesn't matter what's your blood group, but it is good to do your blood group test and know that, okay, I'm O positive, I'm A positive. So whenever you need some help medically, your blood group is known. It's the same when sometimes it's very important for us to start with somewhere and saying, hey, who am I? By the way, O positive, this is the blood group and this is what it means. Similarly, what's my personality type? Who am I? Maybe you know about it, but an affirmation tells you it's not just me. There are so many like me who have a similar personality type. And what are the pros and cons? What's the strength of this personality type, and what are the opportunity areas? Never call it weaknesses, because each personality type has its own set of uniqueness, and I call them uniqueness, because each personality type will have certain aspects which are so unique to them. Like an introversion person is somebody who speaks less, however seems to reflect more, seems to delve more, seems to have a deeper insight on things, as against an extroversion personality, uh, who thinks as he or she speaks, right? Who gets energy from the outside world, as compared to an introversion who gets energy from their internal world of thoughts, actions, reflections. And both have their pros and cons. But imagine a world where extroversion seems to be the norm. The person whose introversion seems to be saying, oh, why am I like this? Why should I be like this? So I try to, and everybody comes and tells you, hey, you speak less, you're so quiet, you should talk to more people, you should mingle, right? You would have heard this advice for some of you who have been introversion, that this happens, right? um, and hence your identity is something, your personality style is something, but you need to mirror the external personality, right? And that is where you need to first be aware of who you are, be comfortable with your identity, and not just be responsible for your reputation. Your reputation is important, absolutely, because we are finally in a social world and we are part of the society, and we need to follow the societal norms for sure, right? The best example again is these last 4 5 months in lockdown. uh, all of us don't go out, we work from home. Max, we are on virtual calls, we speak and meet to people in virtual. So the need to be looking pleasant and good all the time is reduced, because the reputation is not required, right? That's the example of how people portray themselves to what they are. So the intent should be that, and you should be comfortable with your identity and reputation. Both of them should not surprise you. um, is that something which is resonating with all of you? At this point, I want to just check if is there any one question which I can take before we go ahead.
So Sandhya, I don't see any questions in the chat box at least.
Okay.
Audience, in case you have any questions, please feel free to start putting it in the chat box.
And maybe Ankita, you can show the slide for identity, because I did explain it to them. Uh, yeah, so we did discuss this. uh, Identity is how you view yourself, and reputation is how others view us. So it's like the lens that you put on yourself versus the lens that others put on you. uh, and there could be actually something, and according to their identity they could be doing something great, and their reputation is completely opposite. And again, I want to draw your attention to, say, some of these talent shows, and a lot of people who come there, their identity tells them that they are super, they're great, right? They do something which seems to be amazing, and that's the identity that they have. And the moment they come and they perform, right, what happens? Suddenly one of the judges in the talent show either likes it or seems to be absolutely not liking it. And then what happens? The identity thought I was best, and suddenly there is a set of people who are telling you that you're not good enough. You seem to have some areas where they don't feel that you're good enough. So the perception of the external world versus my perception is what the identity and reputation is all about, right? Let's go to the next slide, please. And I did mention that it is a lot based on your family, your values, your friends, your early life scripts, your life positions, your experiences, your drives, and your ability. I want to just draw attention on the life scripts and life positions. All of us, as we grow up, we got some scripts, right? From all the people who are around us. So possibly a lot to do with the reputation that people gave you, or the scripts that people gave you. And you would have heard about the concept about what how do you look with life at life, right? So life scripts can be, you are not good, or you're good, or he is good but you're not good, right? We always had comparisons right from the time that our parents used to give us these comparisons. Oh, you're not doing well, look at the neighbor or your friend, she is working, or she's, her marks are so good, your marks are not good, right? And there is this comparison, you're not going to do well, you seem to be not working, comparisons. So that's the life script that all of us sometimes have, and they stay with us for a lifetime, right? So you were told you are okay and XYZ is not okay. And maybe the next slide explains the life scripts, right? So that's the four positions that we would have got these scripts. It says I am okay, and the others are, so you are sometimes better than the others, or sometimes you are not better as compared to the others. Sometimes you and the others seem to be on, both seem to be good. And sometimes there is like this pandemic time, what happened in this pandemic situation, everything seemed to be gloomy, the world seemed gloomy, the entire outlook seemed so uh, you know pessimistic. And you also felt, what am I doing, what is happening, the world is not well and I am not well. So that life script that is I am not okay and the world is not okay, and that is a very pessimistic script. And I'm sure some of us do have that script in our low times. But for some people that seems to be their script all the time, right? That I am not okay and you are not okay. Whereas for some others, the script is I am not okay but you are okay. So everybody around me seems to be doing well, seems to be being successful, getting what they want, but I don't seem to be getting it. Right now, that's the life script. There might be some people who say I am okay, but others are not okay. Now that's a, when you achieve success and you've seen a bit of success, you suddenly start feeling that I am better than the others. It can also come out of uh, extra self-esteem and overconfidence, that you start feeling that I'm better than the rest of the world, right? So I'm okay and others are not okay. The best life script to have is I am okay and others around me are equally okay, which means when you have an identity which you are comfortable with, and you're also okay with what the world around you says, and you're also happy with the world and not comparing them to be bad or lower or lesser than you, that's I am okay and you are okay life script. So the scripts that we have in our mind, that has a lot to do with the identity that we have created for ourselves, right? And it also it's all sometimes not just the life scripts, it can be the life positions we are in. So like I already gave you the example, during the pandemic most of us were in the life position that, oh, what's going to happen? Every day we were only listening to numbers increasing, uh, countries having more deaths happening, and there was just too much of gloom, right, and pessimism in the air, which was the life position. I'm not okay and the world is also not okay, right? When you're doing well, you seem to feel that everything around me seems good, I'm also happy. So it's a life position is I'm okay and everything around is also okay, right? So those are the life positions that you get in life. So depending on all of that, your identity is very important for you to know. What do you think of yourself, right? Because in this entire discussion, the question is, am I aware of who am I? And if I'm not aware of who am I, what happens is I don't even give myself the priority, because we all seem to be victims of circumstances, which means life happens to all of us. Uh, we don't even have the time to think who we are, what is important to us, what makes us internally happy, right? You can go back and reflect, when have you been really happy? When was the last time when you made a difference to someone? It wouldn't have been when you went and did some retail therapy, when you shopped a lot. Those are materialistic happiness, right? Those are in the moment experiences, that is momentary happiness, as against reflective happiness. Now when is a reflective happiness? When you are really happy from inside. Is that making sense to all of you? Right? So that is why knowing who you are is so important, because otherwise you're just victim of circumstances. You live the life what others wanted you to live. Yeah, right. So being a dutiful mom, being a dutiful daughter or a son, or being the good employee, or being a good team member, or being the right professional, you seem to be doing everything for others, but in the bargain you miss that most important person, which is you. What have you done for yourself, right? When do you really feel intrinsically happy? What are the things that you have done for yourself? And that's why you would have heard statements like, don't ever forget the you in yourself, which means your identity, right? And it is more very important, because the awareness of identity is important, because it helps us make the way knowing who we are, what we need to do, what is expected of us, how others will react to us. It is intimately associated with our sense of well-being and self-respect, right? The moment you start respecting your identity, you build a self-esteem and a self-respect, right? It all starts from self-esteem and self-respect. If you don't respect yourself, uh, you start then following the orders or executing what others expect out of you, and there is no expectation for you in yourself. So that's the intent of knowing yourself, figuring out who you are, what are the things that make you happy, what are the things that you need to do to add value to yourself, what does your identity need. If you had too many instances where you always got pushed by others to do, you need to figure out what you need to do so that you stop others from pushing you so much, right? It can also be the question of what is it that for example, if honesty is a value and that's what you believe in and that's your identity, um, and you figure out that you've been not telling people your true views because you thought it will hurt others, but is there a way where you can be honest but in a nice way, right? Which is called assertiveness. So assertiveness is defined as getting what you want, which is being honest to yourself, but not at the extent of harming somebody, but making them realize what you want, and also looking at a win-win situation, right? So that's what it is, right? So every time you've subdued your opinions, your views, just because you didn't want your reputation to be spoiled at the extent of harming your identity. So the first step is figure out what's your identity. And the next slide actually is normally used by coaches, and any of you who have worked with coaches or are coaches, you would have seen the wheel of life. So wheel is some of the way that we try to help our coaches to figure out their true calling. What is it that they want to do in life? What's their goals? What are the things that they should be doing? So this is a personal identity wheel, wherein what you can, and this is something which all of you should do, and if you haven't done it, uh, it's anyways the weekend, do it over the weekend, right? Make a circle, right? And make 8 spokes to the circle, which is 8 lines, and this is just the example of personal identity wheel, right? Put down all the things which are important to your identity, which can be, as it is given here, your career, your family, your hobbies, right? It can be everything which you feel is important for your career or for yourself, right? And put down. So, like I said, the wheel has 8 spokes. You can put down, like it has been mentioned here, right? Which is critical life experiences. What have been your life experiences? What what are the talent or the skills or the abilities that you have, right? What are the short term goals that you have? What is your profession? What are the things which are important to you? So under each spoke, put down the things which are very important to you, right? And then all the things which make your identity, because each of us will have different aspects which make our identity. For some it is our family, profession. I mean, this is generic for most of us. These are the few ones which will come up: my family, my profession, my vocation, my uh, maybe cultural or social activities beyond hobbies, right? My external circle or my social circle, my social life, my reputation, whatever it is, put it down in that circle, right? And then look at it, which are the things which are most important to you out of the 7 or 8 things. Maybe you figure out, uh, my family, my profession, my hobbies, they are important. So you figure out which are the top 3 or 4 things which are important. How much would you rate them currently on a scale of 1 to 5, right? First is figuring out of the various things that you have put down in that circle, which are the things which matter to you. You will also sometimes surprisingly figure out that you've been spending a lot of time on things which you didn't even mark out as important, right? uh, and then you looked at that hobby part of it or that vocation part of the circle. I say, yeah, I always wanted to do this, but I always thought, yes, I will do it when I have the time, or I will do it when I have achieved this. I will do it when my son grows up. I will do it after I have finished XYZ. And that never came. And that's something which you need to pick up, right? Rating yourself where you are and where would you want that rating to go in the next 2-3 years, right? It can also be, maybe one of your aspects of the wheel is that I want to be as confident and good as I was when I was in my school or college. Maybe over the period of time, from the time I've been working, I've become the me which I was never, which is only executing and listening to others. I never spoke. I never woke up. I never gave, my views in any meeting. So that can be one of the areas, right? The new me, finding the new me. So that's what you need to do, and then figure out what can I do. So this will help you to figure out which are the things which are important for you as a person. And then once you, I think the road to self awareness starts with knowing it and then making an action plan on what you can do to build it, right? So I'm sure if you want these slides, we have that, and you can look at the personality identity wheel and start doing it. Okay. let's go to the next slide. I want to talk to you about a concept which is called ikigai, and that has a lot to do with the identity. And it's it's a Japanese concept which means a reason for being, and the word refers to having a direction or purpose in life, and that starts with you as a person, right? And that which makes life worthwhile, and towards which an individual takes spontaneous and willing actions that give them satisfaction and a sense of meaning in life. Your sense of meaning in life only comes from your identity and not from your reputation, right? You may feel happy about all the recognition that people give you, but your true happiness actually comes from when your identity is stroked or is satisfied. Now the concept of ikigai tells you there are four important aspects um, for for people to know, right? And if you have read it, it's an amazing book also, which you should. And if you haven't, the easiest way to remember this is that there are four aspects of each of us, right? Which is, one is, what's our passion? Some of us don't even know what's our passion. And being in HR, I can tell you, a lot of times in interviews we ask people, so what are your have hobbies? So people always want to sound good, right? They'll tell you they're reading, but is that the true passion for everyone? I don't know. But what's the passion, right? What's your vocation? Passion and vocation can be different, right? What's your profession, and what's your mission? These are the four pillars for all of us to be aware of, right? What are you passionate about? What are you what's your vocation, which is what are your hobbies? What are the things which you would like to do, which is your interest? Are you even aware of those? Profession, some of us are there by choice, some of them are there by accident, but we have a profession. If we don't have, uh, that's also fine, right? Like I said, we may have a profession which is housemaker or an entrepreneur, but we are all having some profession. And what's our mission in life? All of us have a purpose for our life, right? Even they said even a thief has a purpose. So each of us have a mission of what we want to do, right? What is that anchor which drives me to do things? So that is very important for each of us to know. And like I said, either you can use the wheel to figure out the quadrants of your life, to figure out what are the things in your identity which you still need to water those parts of your identity so that they grow, right? Because suddenly you realize that life happened and you didn't give time to yourself. Like they say, right, in the movies they show, when you see the life going in a flashback, did you do everything which you wanted to do, or you were driven by things just kept happening, so you became a victim of circumstances? So if you clearly want to be true to yourself, you need to first figure out what are the things which are important to you, which does not mean that you don't give importance to the things for people who matter to you. But in all our life, right, we need to figure out things which really matter to you. You've heard concepts like me time, for myself. That is the identity part of you, to figure out that what is my true mission in life, right? And we've done sometimes these interesting activities when we tell people, okay, you have to introduce yourself, but you cannot use your professional introduction. And people are really not able to introduce themselves because they say, but that's what I have introduced myself. And I've seen this even outside professional circles, when you meet people even on weekends, when they are introducing, they telling you where they work, what they do. uh, but is that important? Because you're if you don't are not aware of what's your mission and your vision in life, then you need the crutches of only the professional part of you to get introduced. I am someone who loves, the world, loves to add value to myself, add value to others, and I help people to find their insights and be their optimal self. Is that not a great introduction for somebody who believes that they can help people by coaching? Is the mission for them, at least for me, that how can I help people to be better? be a better version of themselves. So I'm perfectly comfortable if somebody is going to ask me to say, don't talk about your profession or what you did. Take out the professional part and introduce yourself, right? So your mission in life, what do you truly believe in? I truly believe that each of us are unique, and each of us have various strengths and insights which we possibly need to optimize, right? And that's what is the mission for some of us. So we need to figure out what's our mission. All of us have a vocation. Some of us never thought about our vocation, right? People actually are not clear. So what do you do when you have free time? I watch Netflix and I watch, all the series. That's great that all of us do. But there might be something which is very specific, which makes you feel happy and brings a true self. It can be, say, reading. It can be painting. It can be some artistic endeavors. It can be so many vocations. Photography, music. There are so many vocations. Are you even aware of what are the things which you could have been really good at? Because the way our society is, it made us believe that work is all that you need to do, right? Whether you like it or you don't like it. That was the economic and social pressures on us to do what everybody did, right? Which is fair. And as I said, that part of you is the professional part of you. But what about the mission that you believe, or is your mission in life, right? What's your vocation? What's your passion, right? What are the things that thoroughly make you happy? Where is it that you feel that you have found yourself, right? The moments where you feel that this is me, and you feel really happy from within the soul. Now that's the identity that you need to figure out, right? And it is okay for the identity and reputation of others, but build your identity. Figure out what's your ikigai. What is it that you need to be working at, uh, where you need to be better. And unfortunately for all of us, we believe that uh, we don't need to be better version of ourselves every day. It's assumed that only professionals need to keep doing some certifications, some training, so that they are employable and they get the next job. But unfortunately, people don't understand that all of us need to be better versions of ourselves every day, right? Like the pandemic taught us back to basics. Maybe we knew a lot of higher grade stuff, but we didn't know the basics, like how to cut vegetables, how to cook, or how to take care of our own houses, because we were so dependent on the help that we had at home, the local house helps that we had. But we had to, and some of us figured out that we were really good at some of the culinary skills. And I know of so many people, and I'm sure you all have seen those WhatsApp messages going around, that this time when the master chef happens, there will be much more number of people, because a lot of people have figured out their ikigai or their passion is cooking, which never was known to them, right? So some of my friends have figured out that they were good in music. They started that musical instruments which they played in their childhood, they pulled it out because now you had a little more time, right? So are you on your priority list is the question. And that's where we started off with. The moment you've identified what's things which are passionate for me, what is my passion, what's my vocation, profession, as I said, some of us are clear, or it has happened to us, and what's the mission for me in my life. If we figure that out, and for that we need to put ourselves on the priority list and say, I need to take some time and figure this out for myself, so that I want to have a really satisfied life, and not just allow life to happen to me, right? So there are concepts which you need to be aware of and add value to yourself. Look after yourself physically and mentally, right? It is okay to start with knowing who you are and being comfortable with who you are, being aware of some of the rough edges that all of us have, and being comfortable with it, and also figuring out what can I do about it. Being aware of our passion, being aware of saying, not just accepting that this is how I look, this is I can't exercise. I'm sure everybody can, take care of themselves physically. I'm sure everybody can take care of themselves spiritually. Right? Meditation, time for yourself, mindfulness. These are not just words, right? These are concepts. And if you really start practicing them, you will see that there are benefits coming out of these. And that's more important for all of us, and more so for women, because um, a lot of times their life goes only in the various balls that they are juggling. Some are working, and then they have family, then they have the kids. And a lot of women sometimes are also feeling, they are guilty, saying that they're not giving time. They don't feel they give time, enough time to their children, to their studies, to everything else. But when you ask the question, what about yourself? And then says, what about myself? And that's where the question comes, are you also on your priority list? And it happens to the men also, because all the life they've been running around building the resources to take care of their family, and they have done nothing beyond that. So the question becomes, what have you done for yourself? And that's when the realization comes in. So to start that journey, you need to first start with knowing who you are. So with that, I'm going to uh, you know close my piece of discussion. And this is a big blown up version of Ikigai, on what's your passion, what's your vocation, what's your profession, and what's your mission. I would strongly recommend that if some of you haven't done any personality self awareness tool, there are enough free tools available on the site, like the Big Five, um, MBTI, DISC, FIROB, Predictive Index. It just tells you, maybe it just affirms your personality type to you. It's a good way to start knowing the self awareness part of it, right? Uh, so with that, I will stop here and see if there are any questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandhya, for such an interesting presentation. I mean, the way you have integrated the entire Ikigai model and, the other psychometric tools, also really something for all of us to kind of think over the weekend. So as Sandhya mentioned, what you're going to do is you're going to take questions from the audience. In case you have any questions, please put it in the chat box, and we'll be spending next 10 minutes on answering them. Yeah. So, Santha, one question I had, that, around this entire self-acceptance, when, your passion is something else and you have gotten into a profession by accident, or, just push from somebody. And there is a pivotal time in your life where you think, okay, financially I'm okay, but, mentally I'm not able to kind of follow my passion, or, that kind of requires you to go back and maybe start from scratch. And then that entire process is kind of difficult. So it also depends a lot on the kind of mental strength you have. So when we are talking about these kind of things, do you kind of suggest any podcast or books or recommendations which kind of push you in that, taking that particular direction or step? Because even if we keep thinking that, this is our passion and I should be doing something in it, actually pushing ourselves becomes, kind of a task. So how do you kind of tackle with that?
So I think the first step is to at least take a step back, pan the camera back, right? Because as I said, life happens and it keeps happening. We're all running all the time, right? So the first question is taking that moment to step back and say, am I really happy? Am I really satisfied with everything that I'm doing? Because in our rush to do everything, we don't even figure that out. And only when, say, you attended a session like this today, then that trigger happens. In fact, Trigger is a good book to read, right, from Marshall Goldsmith. So that
Okay.
trigger moments in life, it happens in a reflective mode, or it is sometimes when there is uh, a situation which is a emotional situation, and it has happened to a lot of us in this pandemic situation, right?
Yeah,
A lot
absolutely.
of organizations had to uh, take employees had to give employees health, emotional support of all the things, right? We had to
Yeah.
set up call center for taking calls, where we asked employees, if you're feeling depressed, just give us a call. And we had
Hmm.
psychologists who were responding to them, clinical psychologists, right? Now,
Right.
these are moments where you are shut at home, right? All the usual things that you did are not happening. You're not traveling, you're not in that mad rush to run, rush, do work, you're working, but there was that vacuum which was created, which made people to start thinking. And that's when,
Right.
it happens in this way. Or
Hmm.
if you want to proactively do it, so that when you look back, your life seems to be overflowing and not half full, right? To your question, when you
Right.
said that I'm doing everything, I have good salary, my family is taken care of, but still there is something missing. That something missing
Hmm.
is when the cup is not overflowing. For the cup to overflow,
Hmm.
you need to figure out how to feed your identity. What's your passion? What's your vocation? And yes, a lot of us are in professions which are not our passion at all, or
Right.
does not feed into it. But at least take time out to build those passion, right?
Hmm.
At least take time out of maybe 15 minutes in your life that you live every day, that I will go for a walk today
Hmm.
because I need to take care of myself. So
Right.
that realization has to happen, because
Right.
otherwise, as human beings, we have been wired to give justifications for everything.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Correct.
So the moment you stop justifying and saying, I owe it to myself,
Hmm.
that's when you figure out that you need to do it for yourself. And that's the identity that will help you to do that.
Right.
And this is how I am. This is what I should be. And I don't want to change myself just because the world is not approving of it.
Hmm.
Right. So that's what
Right.
is important.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much, Sandhya. There is one question which has come. How can one avoid slipping into self-centered attitude while giving oneself a key priority?
Okay. So I think the most important piece is, like I said, both are equally important. So your identity and your reputation is equally important. Uh, the equilibrium has to be maintained. So to the question, if you're going to get self-centered, is only when you're only thinking about yourself, that I need to
Hmm.
be satisfied, and it will never happen that you will be satisfied without taking care of the equilibrium around you, right?
Right.
So your reputation is important, but like I said, a lot of us throughout our life are only managing reputation management and brand management. The original you gets lost. So
Right.
the point is, also give importance to the original you and
Hmm.
feel satisfied thoroughly in your life. So that is a soul satisfaction which you want. I hope
Right.
that I've
Right.
answered that question for.
Okay. Uh, Audience, again, in case you have any more questions or you need some time to kind of mull over, because the topic is such that people will be going back and thinking about it as well. So in case you have any questions and you maybe want to sit on it and then ask us, let us know. Send your questions to us. We'll make sure that we get in touch with Sandhya and get the answers for you at the later stage as well. So having said that, I just want to thank all the audience for coming for this session, and I hope the session was helpful to you. Please send us through our feedback, and as I mentioned earlier, please go through our other webinars also to make sure that you have an understanding about other topics as well. Sandhya, any last words before we close in for today?
Oh, so as I said, right, if you the journey is a little difficult, and the concept itself takes some time for people to
Right.
accept, right? Right from the point that uh, do I really need to do this? Life is going on, right? So why do I need to think about myself? So the first step is to be pushing yourself to saying that, did I do anything beyond work every day,
Hmm.
whether it was external or housework, right? Do I have a passion? And some people say, no, I don't have any passion. I don't have any hobbies. Can I build one? There is never, you're never too late to learn something new.
Right.
So pick up something which is interesting for you. I know of a friend of mine who never did painting, but when she got a daughter, when she had a baby, and she was working with her daughter to paint, she suddenly figured out that she was equally good at it. And
Hmm.
now she's given up her professional life, and she runs an institute where they teach painting to kids with a new way of techniques. Now here is a passion coming over, which possibly she never knew until life happened, and when she started. So there is that part of us which somewhere gets lost, right? I have a friend of mine who was absolutely a seasoned professional, and I've been in the banking world for long, investment banker, and he was quite a famous investment banker. But he figured out that over a period of time, he was only working, neither had time for family, and that's how investment bankers are. Uh, and that's when one of the medical reports came out saying cholesterol level is high, and doctor said you need to now start going to the gym. And he always knew, it's not like we don't know, but we never pull out the time, right? And then he said, no, I need to do this for myself, and I need to do this for my family. And he started running 1K, 2K, and now he started running marathons. It's become a passion. He doesn't miss any marathons now. So imagine that you never knew you had a passion like that, right? And as I said, each of us have something in us which is very unique, and it's not just about passion. You may get a profession out of it.
Right.
So I think that's most important, and end of the day you feel happy about it and you feel fulfilled.
Right. Thank you so much, Sandhya. Again, I want to thank you for taking out time and doing this webinar with us. And we hope for further collaborations also with you in one or the other form. So thank you so much for that. And audience, thank you again for attending today's webinar, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.